Picture the moment you pause, your finger hovering over the phone screen, heart racing, yet you choose not to send that text. That's not defeat, it's a quiet revolution within your soul. When you and an avoidant both stop reaching out, the silence isn't a meaningless void. It's a crystal clear mirror, reflecting the truth about your relationship and your self-truths you may have dodged for far too long. This silence isn't rejection, it's the whisper of freedom, the chance to break free from the exhausting cycle of chasing someone who isn't ready to receive your love. It's the moment you begin to reclaim your strength, heal old wounds, and realize that true love never demands you sacrifice your essence. In this video, we'll uncover what really happens when both sides go silent, why your silence holds the power to shake an avoidant to their core, and how it can transform you into the strongest version of yourself. Don't miss out, because every minute of this journey will help you see your worth more clearly and guide you toward inner peace. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications now so you don't miss these profound insights about love and healing. Together, we'll navigate through the silence to find the light. Stay with us until the end to discover it all. The silence, like a transparent mirror, not only reflects what you and the avoidant are experiencing, but also unveils the hidden layers of emotions, the corners of your psyche that both of you may have overlooked in the rush of the relationship. When you choose not to break the silence, you don't just change the rules of the game, you embark on a profound journey of self-discovery. But what really happens in the mind of a dismissive avoidant as the silence stretches on? And more importantly, how can you harness this moment to rebuild yourself? Let's dive into what unfolds next, from the tremors in their inner world to the empowering transformation within you. As the silence begins, as we've seen, the avoidant often feels a sense of relief, as if they've shed an invisible burden. They assume you've understood and respected their need for space, something they've always craved to maintain their sense of safety. But as days pass without a single text or call, that initial relief slowly morphs into a vague unease. They start to wonder, why aren't they reaching out? Have they truly given up? Your silence, once something they desired, now becomes a perplexing question. They might quietly check your presence on social media, a story view, a random like, or even a brief, ambiguous message. These actions aren't direct emotional outpourings, but subtle probes, attempts to gauge whether you're still there or have truly moved on. Your silence shakes the foundation of control they've built, forcing them to face a new reality. They're no longer the one dictating the distance in the relationship. This shift doesn't happen overnight. For avoidance, emotions are often suppressed, wrapped tightly in a shell of independence and self-reliance. But as the silence lingers, it's like a cold breeze slipping through the cracks in their defensive walls. They begin to feel an emptiness they can't quite explain. It might be the fear of being forgotten, replaced, or simply the loss of someone who once offered them a fleeting sense of safety. This is especially powerful if you were the one who showed patience, who tried to understand them despite their retreats. Your absence now isn't just physical, it's an emotional void, forcing them to confront questions they usually avoid. Do I really want to lose them? How far have I pushed them away? Meanwhile, your journey tells a different story. When you stop reaching out, you're not just halting texts or calls, you're stopping the one-sided outpouring of emotional energy. At first, the silence may leave you feeling adrift, as if you're losing a part of yourself. You might question whether you did something wrong or if there was something else you could have done to keep them. But as you hold firm in the silence, something miraculous begins to happen. You start listening to yourself. The thoughts once drowned out by anxiety and the longing to be loved become clearer. You realize how much time you spent trying to understand someone unwilling to open up, and in doing so, you forgot to love and respect yourself. This shift marks a pivotal turning point. When you stop chasing, you begin to rebuild your confidence and self-worth. The silence is no longer a frightening void, but a sacred space to rediscover your desires, needs, and dreams. You learn that love isn't a battle to win someone's attention, but an equal exchange where both parties are willing to show up and invest. In this space, you learn to set boundaries, not to punish others, but to protect your own peace. You come to see that their absence isn't proof of your shortcomings, but a reminder that you deserve a love that doesn't make you question your worth. While you're finding yourself, the avoidant may begin to sense the change in your energy, even without direct contact. They may not admit it, but your silence forces them to confront their own limitations. Some avoidants will try to break the silence with small gestures, a casual text, a social media comment, as a way to test if the door is still open. But the key is not to let these signals pull you back into the old cycle. Instead, see them as opportunities to assess, are they truly ready to change, or are they just seeking to regain control? Your silence has become a powerful statement. You're no longer the one waiting, but the one choosing, deciding who deserves your time and heart. As time passes, this silence doesn't just heal you, it opens a new path. You start building a life that no longer revolves around waiting for an avoidant to change. You find joy in small things, a peaceful morning, a new hobby, or relationships that honor your worth. Meanwhile, the avoidant may begin to realize that your loss isn't temporary, but a wake-up call to face their deep-seated fears. Some may choose the path of healing, starting to examine old wounds and learning to open up. But that's not your responsibility. Your journey now is about becoming the best version of yourself, living a life unburdened by someone else's insecurities. The silence isn't an end, but a new beginning. It teaches you that true love doesn't need to be begged for or forced. It's a gift given and received naturally, from hearts ready to meet halfway. As you move through this silence, you carry a new strength, the strength to love without fear, to live without regret, and to believe you're worthy of a complete love. Keep watching to discover how to turn this silence into the foundation for a more meaningful life. The silence, like a quietly flowing river, is not just the distance between you and the avoidant, it's the path that leads you back to yourself. It doesn't just shake their defensive walls, it creates a space for you to redefine how you love and live. Your journey, the one who chose to stop reaching out, is a story of healing, awakening, and newfound strength discovered in the quietest moments. But what truly happens when you hold firm in this silence? How do you transform the initial pain into a solid foundation for a fuller life? Let's explore this journey, from the first difficult steps to the moments when you realize you're not just surviving, you're being reborn. When you decide to stop reaching out, the first sensation is often a wave of pain and loss. It might feel as if your heart is being squeezed, as if every glance at your phone without a message from them is a reminder that you're not important enough. The urge to text, call, or even send a simple emoji to check if they still care can be so overwhelming it's nearly impossible to resist. You wonder if you're giving up too soon, if one more effort could change everything. But this is where the true journey begins. In those moments when you resist the temptation, you're not just refusing to continue an unbalanced relationship, you're declaring that you deserve something better. The silence, though initially painful, gradually becomes a space where you can breathe, where you can listen to the thoughts and feelings you've ignored for too long. As you persist in the silence, a subtle transformation begins. The initial pain, though still present, no longer defines you. You start to realize that the energy you once poured into keeping them close hours, spent analyzing texts, blaming yourself for not being perfect, striving to please someone unwilling to reciprocate, can now be redirected toward yourself. You begin to rediscover things that once brought you joy before this relationship consumed your mind. It might be a forgotten hobby, a walk in the park without obsessing over your phone, or simply the pleasure of sitting quietly with a cup of coffee, savoring a moment just for you. The silence becomes a blank canvas where you can paint a new version of yourself, one no longer defined by someone else's absence. This transformation is not just about rediscovering joy, but about redefining your self-worth. In a relationship with an avoidant, you may have grown accustomed to seeking validation from them, as if their presence or attention was the measure of your value. But as you step into the space of silence, you realize that your worth doesn't depend on whether they reply to your texts or acknowledge your feelings. You start asking yourself, what do I truly want in a relationship? What do I deserve? These questions, though challenging, are the key to a new clarity. You see that love isn't a marathon to prove you're good enough, but a partnership where both sides build a safe and respectful space together. In this journey, you also gain a deeper understanding of the avoidant psychology. They don't pull away because you're not enough, but because of their own deep-seated fears, fear of being engulfed by closeness, fear of losing control, or fear of facing old wounds they've buried. This understanding brings a sense of relief, as if a weight has been lifted from your chest. You realize that their silence isn't a judgment of your worth, but a reflection of their limitations. This helps you let go of self-blame, which once trapped you in a cycle of self-doubt. Instead of feeling at fault, you begin to feel the power of choosing yourself, of refusing to continue a relationship that made you feel small. As you move forward, the silence becomes a teacher. It shows you how to set boundaries, not to push others away, but to bring yourself closer. You learn to say no to what hurts you and yes to what nourishes your soul. You might reconnect with friends, family, or even dreams you set aside to prioritize an unbalanced relationship. Each step in the silence is a step toward emotional freedom, where you're no longer tethered to someone else's insecurities. You realize you can love without sacrificing your peace, that you can be strong without needing validation from anyone. This journey also brings a deeper awakening. You're not just healing from a relationship, but reshaping how you view love. You begin to understand that true love isn't something you fight to hold on to, but something that flows naturally between two people willing to meet halfway. The silence shows you that you don't need to be the only one trying, sacrificing, or enduring. Instead, you deserve a love where you're valued, heard, and cherished authentically. As you stand firm in the silence, you don't just rediscover yourself, you open the door to new relationships that don't make you question your worth. Your journey through the silence is a testament to your inner strength. It's not just about stopping contact with an avoidant, but about starting a new relationship with yourself. You learn to love yourself with the tenderness you once gave to others, and you realize that their absence isn't a loss, but an opportunity to become the strongest, most complete version of yourself. Keep watching to discover how to sustain this peace and build a future where you're always the priority. The silence, like a quiet teacher, not only helps you rediscover yourself, but also poses a challenge to the avoidant to face your absence. In your journey of self-discovery, you've learned to love without needing validation from others, to stand tall without relying on their presence. But what happens when the avoidant suddenly returns, breaking the stillness you've built? Is their reappearance a sign of change, or just an old cycle dressed in new clothes? Let's explore what unfolds when an avoidant tries to come back, how you can hold fast to your worth, and how to turn this moment into an opportunity to strengthen the emotional freedom you've gained. As you hold firm in your silence, the avoidant may begin to feel the weight of your absence. Initially, they may have relished the relief of reduced emotional pressure, but as the silence stretches on, it becomes a reminder that they're no longer the center of your emotional world. This can prompt them to break the quiet with a small gesture, perhaps a casual text like, "Haven't talked in a while, you okay?" A comment on social media, or even an unexpected appearance in real life. These actions often lack heartfelt emotion or clear apologies. Instead, they're probes, as if they're testing whether you're still willing to open your heart. But this is where you must stay grounded. Their return doesn't automatically mean they've changed. Often, they come back because they feel safer when you're no longer threatening them with emotional closeness, not because they're ready to confront their shortcomings. The transition from silence to their return marks a critical juncture in your journey. When they reappear, you might feel a mix of emotions, hope, skepticism, and even a flicker of excitement at the thought that they might finally see your worth. But this is the moment to pause and ask, what are they bringing to the table? Do they truly understand the pain their silence and withdrawal caused? An avoidant may return with sweet words or familiar gestures, but without consistent actions and genuine commitment, it's just a replay of the past. You've learned that love isn't fleeting moments of attention, but sustained presence, respect, and a willingness to build a healthy relationship together. So, instead of letting hope take the lead, let the confidence you've found guide you. Evaluating their return requires you to look beyond their words to their action. An avoidant might come back with vague promises or talk of trying again, but if they don't show tangible change like acknowledging how they hurt you, committing to open communication, or actively rebuilding trust, their return may simply be an attempt to regain control. Ask yourself, are they trying to understand my emotional needs? Are they willing to step out of their comfort zone? If the answer is no, you must protect the peace you've built in the silence. This doesn't mean slamming the door shut or retaliating with coldness. Instead, respond from a place of confidence and clarity, setting clear boundaries about what you expect from a relationship. In this process, you'll realize that their return isn't a measure of your worth, but a test of your emotional maturity. You've learned not to let their presence define your happiness, and now you have a chance to apply that lesson. If they return with sincerity and real effort, you might consider opening the door to a new possibility, but only if you feel they're moving in the same direction as you, ready to meet you halfway. Conversely, if their return is half-hearted or filled with mixed signals, remember that you're no longer the person who settles for emotional crumbs. You've built a life where you're the center, where you find joy and meaning without relying on their validation. The avoidance return can also serve as a reminder of the journey you've traveled. Every time you chose not to chase, every time you honored your own silence, you affirmed that you deserve a complete love, not one you have to fight to keep. If they come back and fail to meet the new standards you've set, let them go not with anger, but with the calm of someone who has found their inner strength. Your journey doesn't hinge on whether they return. It continues with you building a life full of meaning, where you're loved and respected as you deserve. Keep watching to discover how to maintain this confidence and move toward a future where love is never a battle. The return of an avoidant, as we've explored, isn't always a sign of change, but often a test of the worth and peace you've built in your silence. Yet beyond whether they come back or not, what truly matters is the profound message that silence carries, a message that reshapes not only how you view relationships, but also how you live and love moving forward. Silence, like a gentle but persistent breeze, doesn't just heal you. It guides you toward a new horizon, where you learn to love yourself with the sincerity you once gave to others. Let's dive into the core meaning of silence, how it becomes your guide to awakening, and how it paves the way to a true love unbound by the insecurities of others. Silence, first and foremost, is not a punishment for the avoidant or a way to win an emotional game. Instead, it's a gift you give yourself, a space to stop chasing what isn't yours and start listening to your heart's true needs. When you choose silence, you're not just refusing to continue an unbalanced relationship. You're creating room to heal old wounds, wounds that may stem from moments you felt not good enough, unloved, or unseen. In this stillness, you begin to see how much time and energy you spent trying to please someone unwilling to reciprocate. Silence becomes an invitation to return to yourself, to learn to love yourself with the tenderness and patience you once offered others. The shift from viewing silence as a loss to seeing it as an opportunity for healing is a powerful turning point. You start to realize that the avoidance absence isn't proof of your failure, but a reminder that you deserve a love that doesn't make you question your worth. In this space, you learn to let go of the false stories you've believed about yourself, that you need to try harder, that you must become someone else to be loved. Instead, you begin to build a new relationship with yourself, one where you are your own most reliable companion. You learn to listen to your inner voice, a voice that may have been drowned out by anxiety and the longing for acceptance. That voice reminds you that you are enough, that you don't need to prove your worth to be loved. While you're rediscovering yourself, silence can also serve as a mirror for the avoidant. For them, your absence isn't just a void, but an invitation to confront the fears they've long avoided. Your silence forces them to face questions. What do I really want? Am I ready to open up? But the crucial realization is that you're no longer responsible for waiting for their answers. Their journey, whether to heal, to change, or to keep avoiding, is their own. You've learned that you can't and shouldn't try to fix them. Instead, you focus on building a life where you are the center, where you're no longer pulled into someone else's emotional cycles. This shift leads to a deeper understanding of true love. Love, as you come to discover, isn't a battle for attention or validation. It's not fleeting moments of closeness interspersed with painful silences. Instead, love is presence, the presence of two people willing to meet, share, and build a safe space together. Silence teaches you that you don't need to settle for emotional crumbs or relationships that feel like walking a tightrope. You begin to crave a love that's mutual, where both sides show up, where you're valued for who you are, not for what you do or sacrifice. This journey also brings a broader awakening. You're not just healing from a relationship, but reshaping how you live. You start finding joy in simple things, a quiet morning, a meaningful conversation with friends, or a moment when you feel fully at peace with yourself. You realize that your happiness doesn't depend on whether someone stays. It comes from how you choose to honor and love yourself. Silence becomes a guide, helping you navigate toward a life where you no longer fear solitude but embrace it as an opportunity to discover your inner strength. The core message of silence is that you deserve a complete love, one that doesn't require you to shrink yourself, question your worth, or feel alone even when someone is beside you. Silence isn't just a pause in a relationship. It's an affirmation that you're strong enough to let go of what doesn't serve you and embrace what nourishes your soul. As you move through this silence, you carry a new confidence, a confidence to live unbound by others' insecurities, to love without fear, and to believe you're worthy of the very best life has to offer. Keep watching to discover how to turn this awakening into the foundation for a future filled with meaning and true love. Silence, as we've journeyed through together, is not just a pause between you and the avoidant, it's the path to your deepest awakening. From the initial painful moments when you resisted the urge to reach out, to the revelations of your true worth, silence has become your teacher, friend, and guide, reshaping how you love and live. It has taught you that true love isn't a battle for attention, but a gentle partnership where two hearts show up and cherish each other. For the avoidant, silence may serve as a mirror, forcing them to face their hidden fears. But their journey to change is not your responsibility. What matters most is that you've learned to love yourself, set boundaries, and move toward a future unbound by others' insecurities. Carry this strength forward, the confidence to live true to your worth, to embrace authentic love, and to build a life filled with meaning. Don't stop here. Hit the subscribe button and continue this journey with us to discover more ways to nurture peace and true love in your life. You deserve nothing less than the very best start today.